Squash bugs we hear all the time. How do we kill them? How do we kill them? And man, it's hard.
If you've ever grown squash, you've battled squash bugs or the squash vine borer, which will be another one.
Yeah,
but,
it's a guarantee. So getting kind of scientific nerdy here. So
go for it.
The true bugs are a complete. No, they're not a complete. They're incomplete metamorphosis. So we have an egg, we have a nymph,
which is a smaller version.
A smaller version.
And you see like the eggs.
So that's the eggs on the screen.
And we'll switch the squash bug here. You see the different sizes. Those are different stages of life.
So that's a nymph on the small side. So a lot of times, you know, we get a lot of calls. They'll be different colors depending on what kind of true bug they are. But this squash bug is kind of a grayish color. So really kind of looks like an aphid. Kind of has that same body shape, but it's a little bigger. It's not. It's quite a bit bigger actually than an aphid. But you know, and it gradually gets big back to the adult.
The adult. Well, again, it goes through. Basically, they call it incomplete metamorphosis because it's an egg and it's hatched, and when it hatches, it looks like the adult, only smaller. It doesn't go through these different stages that grow, lose the skin, grow, lose the skin, grow, lose skin, and it totally turns into the full-fledged adult.
To the full-fledged adult, yeah. So, you know, I think when you're scouting, when you're looking at these, you know, like we saw, go back if you would, Tom, those eggs. These eggs are going to be on the underside of the leaf a lot of the time.
Which makes them easy to find.
Yeah, so you'll lift them up and see them in a row. They're bronze. Usually they're going to be, you know, most of the times the squash bugs will be a bronze color. But there's other true bugs that'll look similar. Right. And there's other eggs out there from other insects also. But they'll usually be in a mass. They'll be usually in a row or, you know, not necessarily a pile, but in a row. And so once you turn those over and see them, you know you've got some adults somewhere in your garden or on your plant.
And if you see this, snip up that leaf and
throw it away.
Throw it away. You've just solved part of your problem.
Slowed them down a lot.
The life
so those are the eggs, and then you know back to the nymphs. You know, looking at those again on that true bug, you'll see some crossed wings. So that the back wing makes an X. So if you think of a flat squash bug or a stink bug, they will have that cross on that wing will cross over on their back side. Right. So that's kind of the first thing that comes to mind when trying to identify what they are. The next one, they have piercing, sucking mouth parts. Like our buddies aphids, they will pierce in and suck juices. Right. So that is another. That's the way they feed, piercing, sucking.
It's like you may not see the bugs, but you may see your leaves kind of starting to get these yellow splotches and turning yellow. They're sucking the life out of it. They are essentially.
They are, and you know if you let these go, you let those eggs hatch, you let those nymphs hatch. Before long, you've got an exploded population. Right. And you talk about a hard insect to control. Adult true bugs are almost impossible to control with a traditional insecticide.
Well, they're kind of armored.
They are. They've got that exoskeleton that helps protect them, but it also protects them from that chemical penetrating into their body.
Right.
Very, very difficult to control if we wait until they're adults. Now these younger nymphs, they're pretty easy. They're soft-bodied. The trick on them is they're going to be hidden. They're going to be under the leaves. They're going to be under debris. If you mulch in your garden, they're going to be in that mulch. So we've got to be careful. You know, when we start noticing them, we've got to spray or control everything that they will be hiding around in and around.
Well, this is a good lesson for a good garden hygiene because these guys tend to overwinter and plant debris in your garden.
They do. Right? You know, pumpkins are one they love, and I just left my pumpkins freeze over the winter, and they just sit there, and I didn't till it in. So when I was tilling my garden a month ago, I was pulling those pumpkin vines back, and I had thousands of these things. And it's like, oh man, I'm a master gardener. I left these out all winter. So at that point, I didn't spray. I just kind of tilled them in, and they're going to be around. So I know they're going to be there. So I've got to be careful. But hygiene, like you were saying, if I would have pulled those leaves, those vines up in the winter and composted them, that would have gave them less places to go hide and overwinter. Right. So now their neighbors or in a forest or all that. That's where they're going to stay, overwinter in that debris. But it's almost impossible to clear all that out. But if you can take away the majority of them, like my pumpkin vines, you will tend to have less, at least earlier on.
So they've overwintered in that debris. And then come late April, early May, maybe earlier this year because we've been warmer
Yeah,
this year.
yeah,
They're
yeah.
going to start coming out,
Yeah.
looking for a mate,
Yeah.
laying eggs.
Laying that egg and starting that process.
Starting all
so that
over again.
eggs, and then it'll hatch to a nymph, and then that nymph will grow, feed, and then eventually get into that adult. Won't take too long. In a lot
Well,
of
it's like
cases.
3 or 4 generations a year.
Yeah,
These
yeah.
guys. So you can see how if you don't do a good job of controlling them, give you a few months and you could have a huge
have a problem. And I can, one thing we can almost guarantee, you are going to have squash bugs if you have squash. So no matter how good your hygiene is, no matter what, you will more than likely have.
Well, they will find
Yeah.
your squash plant.
Yeah,
I can
they will.
attest to that.
And cucurbits mostly, squash, cucumbers, pumpkins, any of those cucurbit crops, they do tend to like.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do we control these guys?
Bricks, smash them.
Well, you can bricks. I mean, there's always within the adults. I mean, a lot of people don't like to do this, but put your gloves on and pick them.
start hand
Maybe
picking.
pick them and smash them, or
Yeah.
put them in a bag and smash them. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the old school way of doing it. Hand pick them off of there. You want low maintenance. I mean, low pesticide usage. Pick
And
them
it's
off.
probably the best, honestly, if you've got 4 or 5 plants where you're not out there all daggum day picking. But, if you've got 3 or 4 plants, go out and pull them. I mean, that's probably going to be your easiest. And in that meantime, you'll see the eggs. You'll be able to scrape those eggs or smash those eggs. And the nymphs. I mean, all the above. I mean, that's probably going to be your best way because that will control them. You're not going to be able to find them all, but that'll slow them down real good. And that sounds crazy, but, spend, a few moments a week pulling those off,
Looking
picking
and
them
seeing,
off.
doing
Yeah.
some prevention. But
Yeah,
you can
for
also
sure.
use some of the more standard things, horticultural oil, like a neem oil or something will work, and pyrethrin
Yeah,
will
yeah.
work.
Pyrethrin does a pretty good job.
But then with the young ones, get them when they're young.
Get them young, get them early, because I mean, again, like I've said over and over, if you wait until they get to that adult, that exoskeleton's very
Right.
thick, very hard, and you won't be able to control them at all.
They get old and cranky and don't like to do what you
That's
want
right.
them to do.
And we don't like to use a lot of those harder insecticides out there because
It's our food.
if we do that, we're killing a lot of beneficials too. So that's, we got to kind of be cognizant and aware of that. So just be aware. You do a good job scouting, and then get them early. And then, because if you wait too long, it could be a challenge for you. Another thing that I've heard done is you put a board in your garden. A piece of plywood or a 2x12 or something where you lay that board down, or a piece of cardboard for that matter. And what they're doing, they're going to crawl underneath that protected area. So after a few days, you can lift that up, and there'll be some underneath there, and then you can simply smash them or spray them or drown them or whatever. But that's another way to get them. Put that board down, they'll crawl under that board.
So they're not fatal, but again,
True bugs.
True bugs.
True bugs are good. That's a good family of bugs that we have quite a few pests in our garden in that family. So be aware. Do what we've done, and I think live with them. You're going to have them. So just be aware.